All right, welcome in. Flame Central Podcast.
It's
powered by Alcova Mortgage. And
bam!
It's just the two of us.
Bam!
Just the two. Where is
when the cat's away,
the mice will play.
Let's go, Warren.
Emily Austin.
It's no holds barred today.
For those that
baby.
are wondering, she is on her wedding world tour right now. I think week 2.
She's on week 2 or 3.
We think it's only going to be 2 weeks. We think she'll be back next week. We are not. Nothing can be confirmed at this point. It's a fluid situation.
Congratulations,
Yes.
Emily.
I
love
assume.
you,
Have you seen?
special.
I assume.
I saw a video of
Did they go through?
Jason.
Did they get married? Did it all go through?
I don't know
I haven't
about
heard. Okay.
No,
We
I saw-
assume the ceremony happened. We assume everything's still going like everything's positive. That's what we assume. So we assume it all went well.
She's gonna come back with she already has a glow. She's gonna come back with an extra special glow to her.
Yes, sunburn, maybe. Yeah, it might be what that is. Yeah, coming
Lack
back.
of SPF.
Yeah, right. So yes, we have that to look forward to. Congrats to her. All right, hey, on today's show, Scott Jackson, Liberty baseball coach, will join us. So looking forward to that. Great conversation with anytime we get to catch up with him. Let's start quickly with some Liberty baseball. Listen, they're in a battle right now.
They're battling.
Don't hate
on the Flames. Don't hate on the Flames. They're battling.
Let me set up the scenario for you, Joe, because we haven't talked about this yet on the podcast.
Yeah.
The format, the postseason format for the A-Sun in baseball, which, by the way, they didn't even make public, I think, until this past week.
That's ridiculous.
The A-Sun, you never quite know how it's going to go. So here's how it is. There's 14 teams in the league. 8 make the postseason.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's not very many.
That's not that many. Liberty is 7th
Jeez.
Going into the weekend, and I think there's tied for 6 right now. But here's how it goes once you get in. So you take the top 8 teams.
Yeah.
Whoever finishes first, your regular season champ, they get the 1 seed. That makes sense, right?
Yeah, that
common
makes
knowledge,
sense,
right?
Yeah.
2 through 8, you're not going off of conference standings, like conference record. You're not going off of overall record.
What?
It's strictly RPI. So this is what this means for Liberty. Liberty has
came up with this nonsense?
Well, this will be your boy, Commissioner Ted Gumbart, I would imagine. But Liberty Liberty has the best RPI in the conference.
Oh.
So literally, if they just get in, they're probably going to be the 2 seed.
Get out of here.
That's the way. Like if you're the 8, they could get in as the 8th best conference record, and they would jump to the 2 seed. Well, I think they're trying to think like better RPI, better chance of an at-large bid. So you're giving those teams a better opportunity to advance in your tournament and to pick up more wins along the way.
Oh,
now, and that might make sense some years. I don't know.
I've never heard anything like
Yeah,
this.
right. I don't know that this is a year where they'll get multiple teams.
This has got to be the first year this ever happened. Has it been done before?
I don't remember it being done like this before.
Would a basketball ever do this?
Ooh,
It's sort of similar to
that.
that.
That's a good question.
I've never heard of this before.
Yeah. So then you get to the postseason, and it's 2 pools, and they put the 1 through 4 seed in one pool.
Yeah.
5 through 8 in the other pool.
Yeah.
And then the top 3 teams that come out of the higher seeded pool advance on, and just 1 of the bottom 4 teams advances on to your final 4.
Really?
And then you go, I think it's just single elimination.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a lot. But all that to say, it could very well benefit Liberty if they're able to make it inside that top 8. Still a lot to be determined. But
You know what I forgot to ask, Coach?
what's that?
It just hit me right now.
What's that?
I wanted the backstory behind the guy who was drinking the 2-liter Mountain Dew.
Oh, right, at Austin P. Yeah,
Yes.
they've been really good.
The guy
yeah.
was arguing with the referee drinking a 2-liter Mountain Dew. I wanted to know, like,
do you see they sold T-shirts with that picture on it? Like
did.
they've made some money off of that whole deal.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
But Liberty gets a big series win over North Florida. They storm back to win on Friday night 12-8.
Huge.
And they win on Sunday 9-3. A couple of home runs for Cam Foster. So yeah, that was big. They had that. You got to take care of business at home. Right now in conference play, 10-8.
Yeah.
And they, took care of business on their home field, which they had to do. So that was huge for them. They play at UVA tomorrow, which they're a top 10 team again this year. So that's going to be tough. And then they hit the road for a big 3-game set at Stetson. So a lot to still be determined. I think it's 4 conference series left. Yeah. And I believe it's 2-2, 2 home, 2 away. So a lot still to be determined, but it's going to come down to the wire if they don't get hot.
I like going to the Flames ballpark.
Oh,
It's
beautiful.
I take Reese there, my 10-year-old. We get, just like the song says, we get Cracker Jacks.
I wasn't sure which song you were going to reference.
Yeah.
Like Friday night, perfect weather. You see the mountains in the distance.
Oh, it's a beautiful stadium.
Great setup. Great setup. You have the little kids. You throw them on the playground. All the kids are running around on the hills and slipping and sliding.
Slipping and sliding all over there. You got all the stuff.
Yeah.
You want to sing the song.
Yeah,
1, 2, 3 strikes. We're out.
That's it.
We do the whole deal.
The whole dog and pony show.
It's a great atmosphere.
It is a great atmosphere. So, yeah, get out there when Liberty returns home. Their next home game will be May 3rd, Old Dominion. They host them on a Wednesday, so get out there for that one.
Beautiful.
All right, so speaking of baseball, we caught up with head coach Scott Jackson and talked to him about this season and much more. Have a listen. All right, pleased to be joined by Liberty baseball coach Scott Jackson now coming off a big series win over North Florida this past weekend. Let's go back to Friday night. You're down 7-0. Then you're down 8-1 after 6, and then things start coming together. You end up coming back winning 12-8. Tell me in the dugout, do you sense that? Is that one of those things where you kind of feel like something's brewing, or does it surprise you as much as maybe it surprises us sometimes?
I think so. I think the latter. I think, you get in there and it's always just kind of, you got to play baseball kind of like this. You can't get so, up and down. And so, everybody comes in and there's some chatter and guys are grabbing their stuff. And, to overcome a 7-run lead with 9 outs to go or something like that, that usually doesn't happen. So you start, I think, sensing it and feeling it when usually there's some help in there, a walk, a hit by pitch, an error, something, and then I've always felt like it starts getting contagious and everybody's like, oh, okay, the next, oh, okay. And so I thought Troyer's double to clear the bases gets you to 8-4, and then it's like this isn't, insurmountable anymore. And then boom, here comes, the 7-run inning. So I think there has to be, a moment of belief. And for me, I think it was Troyer's double where everybody said, yeah, I think we can do this. So, I'd like to think we think that all the time when you're down like that. But, I think that really made it, something that was plausible for everybody.
Yeah. Do you feel like a game like that now, it just kind of, you tuck that one away? Like in terms of the confidence level?
Yes.
Like do you call back on that, throughout a season? Like, hey, we're down, but we all remember what's happened before. Have you seen that in your time as a coach, like where you can kind of draw back on those experiences?
Yeah, unfortunately, I had to call back on it the next
day. Right.
No, I did. I said, hey, we've been here before, after that 5-run first. But no, I really think it does a lot just for the belief in the dugout, like this isn't something we haven't done, in the past, and we can come back and we can do this. So yeah, you've got to keep that in your back pocket, I think, for the rest of the season and allow your guys to say, hey, this is something we can do for sure.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, when you say you said baseball, a little football guy, obviously, and it is a very emotional, sort of roller coaster and of, different types of momentums and whatnot, but baseball being right here. When you look at the season, obviously, it's gone a little bit up and down on you so far. Is there things that you can do to sort of kickstart yourself to get going, or is it just pretty much like, hey guys, we just keep grinding, we keep showing up, and then eventually good things happen? Like, what do you do to try to mix it up in order to get yourself on the right side of that momentum?
That's a really good question, because I think that's what my job is to do exactly what you just said. Like nothing's gonna. There's not like we can't go out and practice for 4 hours. We can't scrimmage. Right. You can't do that with pitching. So you have to do exactly what you said. You have to just keep showing up, and you just have to keep putting the work in. And there's a difference when you're not talented enough and you look over there and there's, other teams have better players than you do. But then when you look up and down our roster, it's like, guys, we haven't performed consistently over a span of time that allows us to feel like we're in a good spot. So it's kept all of us on edge, I think. It keeps everybody showing up and grinding, however you want to look at it. It's such a long season, and the routine for baseball players is so critical. And so how can we stay in the routine? Does it need to be changed? We've done a little bit of that this year just to kind of mix it up. But at the end of the day, you just keep showing up, keep going.
In your experience throughout your years of coaching, when you get into these, do you usually see that, and obviously it's a little bit of both, but do you usually see that it's the bats that really get that momentum going again, or is it the pitching? What lays a bigger factor in that?
I think it's the pitching.
Yeah.
Just because once you start to settle into roles on the mound and you start getting consistent there, I think it takes pressure off the offense a little bit, because you know as well as I do, you could be just rolling in baseball and all it takes is one dude on that mound and he can shut you down. So I really think it's the pitching part of it that allows everybody to show up at the ballpark the next day and say, okay, this isn't going to get away from us because we've got guys in the right roles that we know what to expect from them, and the pitchers can know, they know when their time is down there in the bullpen and what their role is. So I think that's the end all be all, if you will, in baseball. If you can't pitch, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
19-20 overall, 10-8 in the ASUN. Having said all that, and you say you look down there and you see talent, what's the one area where you feel like, man, this is the most untapped potential that we have? Like, I know we can get a lot more out of this group down the stretch of the season and hopefully heading into postseason play.
I mean, I think it's our pitching. Yeah. I really do. I think we kind of, our identity is an offense, I think, is kind of there, if you will. We are who we are, I like to say, at this point in the season. And so we're not built for the long ball. We're not going to sit back and mash. We have to do some things, take some extra bases. Jalen Guy, Kane Kepley, Jake Lazaro, it's about getting on base and those guys being able to run a little bit. So I just think, from a pitching standpoint, we had Nick in there. Nick Moran was rolling for a while. He got, some injury and he's been out. And then Garrett's been in there, some really good outings. And then, Saturday, kind of that was uncharacteristic of him. So if we can get some length from that starting pitching and shorten up those roles, and I mean, this was the first weekend, to my recollection, we've gotten Trey Carter in 2 games out of the 3 on the weekend with a lead. And that's what we need from Trey Carter, So, and we've used him a little bit in the middle of the week to try to get us out of a jam. And then we haven't run him back out there just to keep him fresh for the weekend. And then you get to the weekend and it's like, man, can we get 2 outings, maybe a save situation? Same thing with Hertzler. Yeah. So those are the 2 guys you kind of circle and star at the end of the game. But can we get there? Can we get to them? And I think a lot of that has to do with our starters.
It's interesting you talk about, what you are offensively, because it's so different than what you were last year.
Yeah.
Like last year, I think it was 75 home runs. Going into the series this weekend, I think you had 25.
Yep.
Like, I think about that in terms of other sports. Like, if you told Richie McKay, hey, guess what? You're only going to shoot 20% from 3 this year. I know that was a big part of your offense last year. Too bad. Like, it's out. Like, you don't typically see that big of a swing. Yeah. How does that affect what you do and how much you have to change the way you approach coaching your team, given that, a year removed, it's a completely different way that you guys attack offensively?
And that's a really good question. I don't think you really know, until you get out there and you get going in the fall. Did I think in the fall, like, this team's going to hit another 75 jacks? Absolutely not.
No.
But at the end of the day, I think it's really about the dynamic of that lineup and how it all fits. And so the extra base hits and the slug part of it, there's ways to slug other than hitting it out of the ballpark. Our ballpark, as you know, you guys know, it's not very conducive to the home run. So we've never really built our roster like that. Having the Gulikowskis and the Matthews and the Andersons, I like to say the 22 and 23-year-olds that you never really plan on having. I think you saw a little bit of that last year, but I don't think our team is ever going to be built like that, just because we value the athleticism and the on-base ability. So that's never going to change. So to answer your question, I think you really have to coach those guys in moments where the approach is critical and understanding what they need to do to just get on base. It can't always be about hits for you to think you're a good offensive player, and that's really what we've tried to stress with those guys.
Yeah.
Okay, Coach, this is a side question for you.
All right.
I got a couple side questions.
Okay, go
All right. My first side question is, have you seen the 30 for 30 that's out on Deion Sanders yet?
The one where he plays both sports?
Yes. Did you watch it?
Oh, yeah. Incredible.
You did watch it. Incredible, right?
Yeah, incredible.
So my question to you is this. So they're playing in game 6, I think it was game 6, and he plays for the Falcons, right? He gets on the airplane, he comes back, and Bobby Cox was the GM or the manager. I'm sorry, the manager at the time, right?
Yeah.
And then he sits him, right? Because they were really ticked off at him.
Yeah.
They were angry with him. You're in that situation. Would you have done the same thing there with as talented as he is?
And you actually you've had some dual sport guys.
Yeah.
You have Brylan Green right now.
We got Brylan Green and Reese Mooney and is on the way. And
Reese Mooney.
Yeah,
that's right. I forgot about that.
Had Bryn Renner at North Carolina.
You had
was a
Renner,
good quarterback.
didn't you?
Yeah, had Renner. So, I mean, I think if you're talented enough to be in our lineup that day. I don't know that Deion was a regular, was he? Was he a regular at that point?
Yeah,
where
I don't know.
I think he was.
Was he?
Yeah,
okay.
and the way that they seemed, because then they went to the first game of the World Series, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to send again." I can't remember the pitcher's name for the Blue Jays that he's going against.
That's
but
right.
he had
That's
batted
right.
over 500.
Yep.
And he was like, yeah, no, they ain't sitting me now.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can promise you that much.
Now,
And he ended up batting 500 for the World Series, and they got beat
I
by the
remember
Blue
that.
Jays.
Okay, so yeah, you're right. So
Yeah.
I mean, I would worry as a coach about the fatigue and the, is this guy locked in? I think maybe a
that
little
was
bit.
the big thing.
Yeah. But I mean, from a talent standpoint, I think you just try to do. I mean, talent wins games. So can you put a guy in there that's gives you a best chance to win the game? I think that's kind of how I would approach it, at least.
All right, my second question is this. I hope she never sees this. My daughter is at the University of North Carolina.
Oh, boy.
And she's dating a pitcher from Duke.
Uh-oh.
This has put me in a really bad
Yeah,
spot, Coach. Do you have any advice with these pitchers on what to, especially a guy from Duke? Like, what am I supposed to do? I met him very briefly one time, and I just
now, is he
Coach,
left-handed?
he's a lefty.
Oh boy, then that may be a whole different set of rules.
Coach,
then,
how do I play this? Do you have any like fatherly advice?
Yeah,
or,
I'll give you.
I don't know. I'm not a big baseball. I like baseball. I enjoy watching it, but I don't know the intricacies of baseball. And help me out here, Coach.
Well, I didn't grow up like this. Like I coached at North Carolina for 8 years, but I never had this hatred towards NC State or to Duke like a lot of people that went to school
deep.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's pretty deep.
It's really
I'll
deep.
tell you this much. Andrew Miller, left-handed.
Absolutely.
Andrew Miller
Yeah.
went to North Carolina,
Yeah,
and he
unbelievable.
married a soccer player from Duke,
Did
and
he
she
really?
is the most incredible girl, and they've
So
got
it
a
can
wonderful.
happen.
It
So
can
wait.
happen.
So you're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine.
That happened?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
There you go.
Gives me a touch up.
Yeah. All right. Let's go back, Coach, quickly to your schedule this year. Because I saw
Yeah.
somewhere, I think you have the second toughest non-conference schedule
Yeah,
in the
that's correct.
country.
Yeah.
When you're going about scheduling,
Second non?
yeah, toughest.
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
When you go about scheduling, like you want to schedule competitive teams,
Mhm.
but I'm sure some years teams that you think, I guess first off, how far out do you schedule? And then are there years where you schedule someone you think, oh, this will be a good team, good strength, all that stuff, and they're not nearly as good as you hoped? And has this year been kind of the opposite, where the teams that you thought that'll be a solid squad, they've been even better than you thought they could be?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's about 2 years out. So I'm working on 2026 right now. Here's my thing with scheduling. It just doesn't make sense to me to play an easy schedule. I don't think it primes your team to be ready for what they're going to face in the postseason. So the other factor here is if we have a good year, and there's some teams that and I won't mention them on here, but there's some teams over the last couple years that have been left out, and it's due to their strength of schedule, and they don't have enough quality wins.
Yeah.
Well, if we get to the end of the year and I've got to look at those kids and say, guys, we didn't get in because we don't have a tough enough schedule, that's my fault.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
Yeah.
And so is it tough? Yes, it's tough. And our midweek is incredibly tough. It always has been here, but that just keeps you, I think, on edge a little bit. Like the conference games are always going to be important, but then when you have an ACC game like we do tomorrow night at Virginia, like there's no looking past that. There's no like, man, this is another big one, and they're all big. And so I just think just for the mentality of how you have to play and the level you have to play at from start to finish, and especially at the finish, when you get into the postseason, you get into a regional, you're going to face some of these teams that, I mean, in 21 was a great example. We get to the postseason and we had played, we get Duke, right out of the gate, and we had played them twice that year. Our kids felt like, man, we didn't play well against them, and we feel like we can beat them.
Yeah.
And so sure enough, boom, here we go. And, the year before we had played Tennessee in the regional. So I think a lot of the belief and the mentality when you get to the postseason, if we're going to get to the next step and we're going to get to a super regional, then I think you have to have passed a lot of those tests during the year so the kids find themselves in a good headspace, at the end of the year.
Yeah.
What's your for in being in season right now, and Flames fans that are out there watching or listening to this right now, what's your overall feeling and the pulse of the team with where you're at right now moving forward?
No, it's a great group of kids. I mean, it's been a blast with them. It's one thing if you don't have the season that you want, and you've got, kind of some stuff on the side that not a very good clubhouse, this is going on. There's some separation. I've been in maybe you guys have too, but it's a great group of kids. I don't think there's anybody in there that isn't frustrated. And so they've done everything we've asked them to do. We could just continuing, like we lifted at 6 o'clock this morning, just I think some things where it shows that level of commitment, and I want to be there. I want to be with my teammates. And, our strength coach, Josh Fellows, has done a great job of just kind of trying to continue to just move forward with the belief and the want to, and all the things that go with, trying to get it. We keep saying that, we try to get it going or get this thing rolling. I tell them that all the time. And so I think you have a lot of guys that think the best is yet to come. I'll leave it at that,
Nice.
And we've stole that from John Gordon, and I just love that, approach and that philosophy that, you got to think of. There's two things that come to mind. John Gordon, I love that, because it's the best is yet to come. Think how good it's going to feel. And then there's the Tony Bennett side of it, where can we get to a place we never would have gotten to without the adversity that we have experienced during the year? And so the optimism is there, and I think that's, if you're not approaching it that way, then why show up? And so that's kind of where we are and where we're going.
That's awesome. All right, last thing. A couple weeks back, we get mailbag questions, right, from fans.
Yep.
And they asked us, what would our walk-up songs be if we were playing baseball? You're back at Campbell, right? When you were in college, did you have, what was your walk-up? What was your walk-up song back then?
Matt, I'm too old. I don't even know if we had a.
We didn't have it. Small college.
We didn't have it either.
There were a couple games we rolled out speakers, but that was
Let's just go back
What
in
would
time
it have
and
been?
imagine, Coach. Let's go back in time and imagine.
What were you listening to back then that would have been?
What was yours again?
Well, I would have gone. I think I mentioned the Rocky theme, "Gonna Fly Now." That's just a classic. Rocky.
Then you said Dire Straits too, I believe.
Yes, that's right. Dire Straits, Money for Nothing. Yeah, that's
Coach. Mine was the locomotion. Come on, baby. I was known as the Yakamotion back in college.
He may have had his own dance.
I may have my own dance known as the Yakamotion. So come on, baby, do the Yakamotion would have been mine. Yeah. So you got one?
I don't have a. I mean,
you didn't have your own dance. That's fine. Not everybody does.
I mean, it would probably be somewhere in the '80s music or country music. I mean, that's all I kind of have ever really gravitated to and listen. I still love '80s music. I always will.
I see you being like a Bob Seger, old time rock and roll kind of guy.
Yeah.
That's a good song.
Tom Petty.
Oh yeah.
Tom Petty. Yes.
Do you ever get?
I won't back down, Tom.
That's good. That's good.
That'll be it.
That's good.
I knew we'd get
Do you
there.
ever get? Because your guys all get to pick their walk-up songs. Do you ever have somebody pick one that you're just like, what are you doing? Like, does that ever? You're probably so locked in, you don't even hear it.
I just want to like not see some of the songs maybe that Liberty had. I'm thankful for Liberty here in this environment and what we put on those speakers, because some of that music out there I don't care for, but at the end of the day, I want them to have fun with it and enjoy it, and so. It kind of is what it is. It's just where we are now with bat flips and walk-up songs and all that good stuff. Yeah.
It's funny. I talked to because my kids, like last year, they were out there a ton. They knew every guy's walk-up song, and they were pretty upset this year because 3 Hillier changed his walk-up song. And
I don't even know what it was.
And so I went up to actually the 3 this weekend. I was like, listen, I got to tell you, you really disappointed my kids.
Don't ever hurt the kids.
So he said he's actually, he's been thinking about switching it back. He said he wanted to try something new this year. It hasn't really, it's not working
the
for him.
only time I've gotten involved is I told Gray Betts, I think it was maybe 2 years ago, that I thought he should come out to, I think it's Rob Bass, It Takes Two.
Oh, yeah.
And he's number 2.
We got that on the dance floor.
And maybe he needs to go back to that.
That could be.
Yeah,
maybe he got switched up a little bit. I remember one time covering.
You know what? I'm going to tell him.
Tell him that.
Yeah.
I remember covering minor league baseball. It was like the Springfield Cardinals, where at one point a guy was just terrible slump. Yeah. And so he switched his song to that. Remember that Call Me Maybe song that was so annoying?
Oh, yeah.
The problem was, though, then he went on this hitting streak. And so for like 20 straight games, that's the song. And he had just had, it worked out. He had just had to ride it for a while. But, that's all right. I guess we'll take it.
Who were your, baseball heroes sort of growing up? Who'd you like?
I'm Cal Ripken, Eddie Murray. I'm a diehard Orioles and Commanders fan. And always have been. Always will be, and so my childhood hero was Cal Ripken Jr. Yeah,
that's good. All right,
you know who I like?
Who was that?
Lenny Dykstra.
Oh yeah,
Lenny fell on some hard times after his
He did, but when he played baseball,
he was a tough dude.
Yeah.
That era,
Yeah.
though.
He played
Your
baseball like
George
he's playing football.
Brett's, you're like those guys all just seemed like just the toughest dudes in
No
the world.
batting gloves.
Right.
Yeah.
Pine tar
Old
everywhere.
school.
Tobacco.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have our own little Lenny Dykstra, Kane Kepley. He plays the game a lot like that. His hair's on fire. I love watching him play.
Love it.
He's very now not off the field, just on the
Yeah,
baseball
right. Thank
field.
you
Yeah.
for making that.
So
Yeah.
we'll
He said
clarify
plays
that.
the game.
Yes,
Yeah,
right.
he was very specific.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you
Yep.
stopping by. The best is yet to come.
Yep.
You got a series to win this
Don't-
past weekend. Oh, hold on. Joe's got to do
Don't
something with this.
interrupt.
Sorry.
Tell him,
Yeah.
tell him.
All right.
To what camera is he looking at?
Well, you look right here at that camera right here. All right. So look at that camera.
Coach. Flames Central Podcast.
Yep.
Powered
By
Alcova Mortgage.
Yeah.
Give it to him, Flames.
Flames Central Podcast, powered by Alcova Mortgage.
That was
Bam!
good.
That's one of our best
That's one of the
and
best
these,
ones.
and these three.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those three right there.
these
Yeah,
three.
That's
yeah,
right, these
yeah.
three.
Emily's
That's
going to be
great.
really upset she
Yeah.
wasn't here when
Yeah,
we had
she
John.
is gonna be upset.
But that's just the way
Well,
it is.
she's enjoying herself.
When you
I'm
take
sure,
a 3-week
so.
wedding, that's the
Oh,
way it
yeah,
works
this is-
out.
this is
you know?
gonna be a 3-week
Yeah,
deal,
probably
then.
so.
Oh,
If
well,
she ever
good
comes
for
back.
her.
Good for her.
Good for
Good
her.
for her.
Yeah.
Coach, we appreciate it.
All right,
Good luck
guys.
at UVA
Thanks,
tomorrow.
Coach.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys. Yep.
Love talking to Scott Jackson. Great guy.
Yeah.
He shoots you straight.
No, he's straight shooter.
He's like he's just one of those guys that has that kind of intensity. He's
Yeah.
always at kind of a simmer a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
he locks in quick and done a great job here, obviously, at Liberty. And I wouldn't bet against the Flames getting it figured out here down the street.
Yeah, he's got experience. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
You got the right man for the job, and you watch. I'm calling it.
Yeah.
So I always say, where'd you hear it first?
Yuck, talk.
Hey, Yuck Talk,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah.
That the Flames are going to get on a little ASUN roll here. And with that whole RPI thing,
yeah.
they're going to
They're in
be
good
right
shape.
in the mix
Yeah.
coming down the stretch.
Well, we can't wait to see it. There, yeah. No, that'll be a lot of fun. All right, quickly, let's jump over to softball real fast. They played a tough road series. Central Arkansas, they're
They're
ranked.
good. They're legit.
They're ranked
They're legit.
nationally.
They're
Liberty
legit.
goes there, drops 2 of 3, did salvage the game on Sunday, so that was good. But Liberty now tied for second. Everybody's 3 games back of Central Arkansas.
3.
So they have been far and away the best team in conference play so far this season. And Liberty loses those 2 after they had just beat 13th ranked Alabama in the midweek. So they got a huge win there, then dropped 2 of 3. But still a lot to be determined, obviously, in that series.
Listen, rule number one.
Tell me.
Rule number 1 in Flames athletics.
Yeah.
Across the board, right?
Yeah.
Don't worry about Dot.
Don't worry, Dot's got it. She's got it. Dr. Dot.
Rule number 1, Dr.
Yeah.
Dot. Don't worry about Dot.
Yeah.
She's got it all
Well,
under control.
Liberty hosts
Too easy.
Clemson on Wednesday.
Oh,
so
Clemson
Clemson's
and those,
coming to town.
Those ugly orange
They
uniforms
don't
with
know the
purple.
Hornets' nest
Or
they're
they
walking
don't know
into.
walking
Yeah,
into.
they don't.
They're
They
gonna
don't
get
know.
hammered.
Yeah, and then Liberty a 3-game series here at home this weekend as well against Austin Peay, who is in 4th place in the conference. So that ought to be a good test as well. All right, are you ready for a little mailbag?
Every time you
Yeah.
Mailbag.
There we go. There we go.
Love it.
Do you want to remind the folks what we're doing now? Is this the right?
No.
Oh, this is not the right mug.
Yeah,
I think
where's the box
Coach
at?
Jackson took the.
No, grab one out
we
of
got
the
it.
box. Someone
Doug, can you grab one of the new mugs out
Get
of
one
the box to
brand
show
new-
the people
A
a
whole
new
box of
mug,
them.
whole box.
Ship, ready to be shipped.
That's right, and I'm gonna take care of that now. I'll take care of that end of it.
Yeah.
So we've got that sorted
That
out.
we
We
got
had,
a
we
little
had
expensive
some,
for me last
we had some issues with the
Here
supply
we
chain
go.
issues.
Now we're
Now look at it.
talking.
Yeah. So
Look at that.
there's
Here,
the
here.
beautiful.
Man, you're the
See
voice
right
of the
there,
Flames.
here,
You're
we
the
get
one
that
who
right
put
here.
that.
So
Look
see
at
that right there? That
Golly.
beautiful mug. We will pick
Gorgeous
a
mug.
mailbag
I had that today.
person. Did you use this mug
Yeah,
today?
you saw on Twitter.
Oh, I did. You did.
Yeah,
today,
full cup of coffee.
was-
little-
what-
honey?
I was gonna say that was a jar of honey.
Jar of Bedford County local honey.
Don't you
It's good for your
have
allergies.
bees?
Yes.
Have you gotten honey from them?
Uncle Paul?
Yeah.
We all live on the compound.
Right.
The
The
yacht
yacht
compound,
compound.
right?
Yeah, right.
And Uncle Paul is a beekeeper.
Okay.
And he's got bees. He's got bees going everywhere. And guess what? We got honey.
I had a guy.
Jars of honey. Local honey.
I had someone tell me that they know someone here locally
Save the
out
bees.
towards Forest who has a bunch of beehives.
Yeah.
And apparently a bear got into him and ate 40 pounds of honey
You
from
gotta
this
be
guy.
kidding me.
40 pounds. That bear's got to
Oh,
be
do
just
you
like laying in the
understand?
woods with diabetes somewhere, right? Like that, isn't that? How does anything take 40 pounds of honey?
I mean,
That's
Winnie
ridiculous.
The Pooh can't take
No,
down 40 pounds of honey.
No,
That's
unbelievable. That's got to be. That's
You
kind of
know,
like
here-
the
you know,
Cocaine Bear movie
here's
we
what
keep
I'm-
seeing commercials. It's probably
Yes,
similar to
yes.
that. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honey, cocaine.
Yeah, right.
bear. You know, here's what's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because Paul is my brother-in-law
Yeah.
slash
Yeah.
neighbor,
Yes.
right? I'm learning more about the bees.
Yeah.
And getting this honey,
Yeah.
like to actually get honey
Yeah.
is a lengthy
Really?
process.
See, I wanted to ask you about that.
It doesn't
Yeah.
just happen like,
Okay.
oh, here's the bees, here's the
Right,
queen
just-
bee. All of a sudden, we get all
There's
this
some
honey.
Yeah, right.
Right?
No.
Like this
Yeah.
takes so when a bear comes in, like
I know.
that's like years of work.
Yeah. Yeah. What a shame. All right. Well, let's.
We
don't want to.
If bear season rolls around, we can
pick
find
it back
that
up. Yeah. Right. That's right. All right. Let's get to mailbag.
Yeah,
All right?
mailbag.
First question, and this is actually one that I have gotten a lot in the
Really?
past few days from people just at a Liberty baseball game, around town, people texting me. I've heard this question a lot.
They're texting you.
Yeah, I get texted sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I text you.
I know you
a
do.
lot.
You do a lot. It's true. Maybe it was you that asked. I don't know. This is from David. Do we have any concern with what seems to him to be a large number of athletes for Liberty football leaving through the transfer portal this past year? He also finished his email by saying, Yock Warner 2024.
Oh,
Hashtag. Which I thought that was nice. We might get bumper stickers
I'm
or
going
something.
to tell you what. I haven't thought about that yet.
Yeah.
Yacht Warner 2024, but I honestly think we can make a heck of a run.
I think we've got a shot.
I think we've got a shot to be able to do something.
We've got to get out to Iowa, I think, now.
Yeah, we gotta get
yeah,
now. We gotta
it
go
all
quick.
starts in Iowa, but yeah.
all roads
Yeah,
lead through
right,
Iowa.
Right,
100%.
right, yeah. But back to the portal.
Yes.
Obviously, a lot of people going in here recently.
Yes.
Once it opened back up,
Yes.
Flames fans a little concerned. We're seeing a lot of people go in. We haven't seen a lot of people pulled out thus far.
Yeah.
How do you view that? What's your level of concern, I guess would be a good way to say it.
My level of concern is like you have to look at where okay, so football.
Right.
Were they saying just athletics
Football,
in general?
football.
We're
Yeah,
going to focus on football.
Yeah.
Okay. So my level of concern is this, is that the portal early on, because it's so new,
Yeah.
is the Wild West right now.
Yeah.
And it's so new to the kids,
Mm.
right? They're like, oh, I'm not playing. All right. Do I want to play? And whatever it is, transfer out. Or, oh, I'm a superstar and somebody will pay me $100,000 to go to this school. Okay, go. I mean, so you understand that, but it's gonna be like this for a while.
Yeah.
But I do think over time it'll calm down. The bad news is it's bad right now.
Yeah.
Like it's the
You're
good
saying
news
nationally, like.
but that's my point.
Yeah.
The good news is that everybody has this
Yeah,
problem.
yeah. I don't know if you saw.
Everybody's
Colorado
got
had
this
their
problem.
spring game Saturday.
Yeah,
The MVP of their spring game, wide receiver, game ended, jumps in the portal.
on the portal, gone.
Like he just had a monster performance. You know, Colorado's buzzing. It's the hot school right now. Coach Prime and all
And
that.
he's gone.
And he's like, maybe I can use this to jump some. And who knows? Maybe somebody had been reaching out. I don't know. But like it is happening everywhere.
You're taking two things. You're giving kids the opportunity who aren't playing
Yep.
right away to go somewhere they have the chance to play. Okay, that's a
Yeah.
big one. Then the other one is then you're giving superstars to certain schools the opportunity to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So when you combine those two things, there's going to be a ton of activity. For Liberty, like from a what bothers me standpoint, is they're so thin at the linebacker position, right? So you got a guy like Steven Sings who goes into the portal now. I mean, that's a big loss. However, with that being said, trust me, there's other really good linebackers that a guy made him up. It's starting at a Power 5 school, whatever it may be, that can come in and replace.
Yeah.
So as much as coming out, there's going to be new blood coming in.
I think too, you have to factor in with a new staff. There's going to be more turnover anyway.
Correct.
Right? Because whether it's the staff evaluating the player and saying, you know, you're not going to get a lot of playing time. Let me just shoot you straight.
Yeah.
I don't see that for you. And they're like, okay, well then I'll go someplace else. And you're like, great, cool, best of
Yeah.
luck. Or it's the player being like, I don't really like this system.
Yeah.
Or this isn't the system I signed up for. And they're like, okay, so I'm going to go someplace else. Like with a new staff in general, I think you see more of this than, like I'd be more concerned if this was year 5 of Jamie Chadwell.
Right.
And you had mass exits.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, oh, wait, what's going on in that program?
right.
These are all his guys that he
Right.
brought in. But that's not the case. So I think typically in any sport, you would see more turnover with the new staff.
And I think a big part of it too with the new staff is that so much of sports, Richie McKay obviously is a huge part of this, is fit.
Sure.
Right? So when you bring a new staff in, sometimes you may have a guy that may be a really good player. he's just not the right fit, whether that's personality-wise, whether that's the system that they run wise, is that you got to be able to have the right fits. And I think like for guys like the Jamie Chadwells and the Richie McKay, I talked to Richie at the spring game, and he is like, so much of their program is built on, he believes the recipe is, obviously you have to have talent and really good players, but his recipe is, man, we have to have guys that like each other, that fit well with each other, and so we got to be very careful on who we have transfer in here to make sure that they're the right fit.
The other thing I will say to encourage Flame fans that are feeling kind of down about this right now is
feel down.
There are a lot of other programs that also have new staffs, and I would not be surprised. Like, I think this week you'll start to see guys maybe from other places like that that are like, and it's not fitting here, go in and Liberty start to have some options. And bottom line is, listen, I don't think any of this surprises Jamie Chadwell.
Yeah.
I don't think he's surprised by this. There's a plan. I'm sure there's a lot of things going on that we don't know about to remedy some of these situations. But he even said after the spring game, before a lot of these guys made it public, like, there are a lot of guys we already know are going to go in. And so I don't think they're surprised or caught off guard by this. There's a plan in place.
The only thing that Jamie Chadwell is not ahead of me on is push-ups.
Right.
That's it. Outside of everything else,
and
he's got it all under control.
And you want to prove that publicly.
And I'll prove it publicly. You're going to provoke me publicly?
Right.
You're going to get?
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
That's a different topic.
Next question. This comes from Will. What does Liberty football have to do in your mind to consistently be in the expanded playoff conversation in the next few years when it expands? And also, he added a bonus question. When will Joe Yock be speaking in Convo?
Oh,
when will you be speaking at Convocation? Don't think you've gotten the invite yet.
That's the other thing I forgot to ask Coach. You know what, Coach Jackson?
You wanted to speak to the team?
No.
Oh.
Why can't I want to get on? I want to throw first pitch out. I want you to be a catcher. Right? And then I'm a lefty, and I want to stand. I want these guys still stand in the mound. I want to put the heat on
Jamie Chadwell did not get up on the rubber. That bothered me.
I want to get on the rubber, and I'm going to bring heat. I don't know if they get nervous, whatever happens. Warner, you get behind the plate. Make that happen.
I will.
Like, Liberty Zone, Flame Central podcast, Matt Warner, Joe
I will only do it if we do it this way. If I catch it, but we have Emily trying to steal from first base, and then I get to try to throw her out at second base.
Perfect.
Could we do that?
That's asking a lot.
Well,
that's asking a lot
that's what I'd like to do.
Jackson,
if I had my choice, that's what I'd like to do. Try to throw somebody out. But what do you feel like? Liberty consistently, the program, what does it have to do? Where does it have to get to be in that playoff conversation year after year?
Undefeated.
Yeah.
I mean, let's look at reality here.
Yeah.
Is that if you're outside of the Power Five, you go back to the teams that made big bowl games, right? Boise State, when they had a nice run.
Northern Illinois.
Yeah, Northern Illinois got to play somebody.
Yeah.
And who was it last year? Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Cincinnati. So what do all those teams have in common? They're all undefeated.
Run the table.
Right? You look at Coastal a couple of years ago before Liberty beat them.
Yeah.
Right? That team probably would have, they were high explosive offense. They were undefeated before the bowl game. That's a team that could have made it outside.
Yeah.
So the first step is to definitely go. I think if you go undefeated, you are definitely in the conversation. But then that gets into, okay, who else is out there? So early on, it's going to be hard. You got to put together a couple seasons. Like, I think if you put together a one-loss season, but you're starting to show up on the national radar. And so you're going into the next year and you have some national publicity, and then you do it again, and then maybe that third year or so, it's like, okay, now they've been hanging around the 15-20s, and they've got a really good football team, and that team goes undefeated. Yeah. Then you'd say, I think you get a good shot. Would it be hard for Liberty this year? Say they go undefeated right out of the gate? Because I got a feeling they're going to start so far back. Yeah. It's going to be difficult.
The other thing too is we don't know how strong the Conference USA is going to be.
Right, that's a big
right. So it may take some time to figure that out as well and figure out if it's a strong enough conference to where even if you do go undefeated year after year, is it?
Yeah, but then that also gets into, okay, do you schedule an out of conference game? But now that you made that point weeks ago, it's like, well, now that you're in a conference, you don't have the flexibility to be able to schedule a Virginia Tech or an Arkansas,
late in the year.
You got to play somebody where you can get that win on. Yeah. So I think that's another it was Boise State years ago. They played when Virginia Tech was really good.
Yeah.
They played Virginia Tech at FedEx, right? And so they were looking at oh man, if we can beat a Virginia Tech, I think they ended up doing it too, and beat Virginia Tech at FedEx. I may be wrong about that. So Virginia Tech people don't go crazy.
They're not listening.
Then you exactly. Then you can then you have an opportunity.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good question.
With the conference thing, here's a question that I don't know the answer to, Matt. With the conference thing now, because the schedule of out of conference was like some really good teams in a few years coming here. Does that all change?
A lot
now?
of that has changed.
So it does change.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm a Tar Heel, and Carolina was coming to Liberty in like 2027 or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, I know some of those.
But are those off the table now?
Some of those are off the table. I know they've some of those have been taken down, or those deals have been since moving to Conference USA have gone away. Just trying to look real fast at what they have listed for the future. Yeah, they've taken down a lot.
Really?
A lot of those games. It used to be, future schedules.
Yes.
Independent, and now it's like there's not much out there. So, the conference thing really threw a wrench into it.
They can do it. It's going to take a couple of years.
Yeah. All right. Last question. This comes from our buddy Donald. With graduation coming up, right? Graduation coming up for here at Liberty and everywhere. Who would be your dream commencement speaker? Who is it this year? Doug, do you know?
I think it's Billy Graham.
Billy Graham passed away. Oh, Franklin Graham.
He said Billy
Now
Graham.
that would have been a great one if it was Billy. Yeah, no, Franklin Graham. Yes, okay, that makes more sense.
Liberty pulls off Billy Graham.
If you pull off Billy Graham,
Graham.
that's pretty strong.
Yeah.
That's pretty strong. Okay, who would be your dream commencement speaker? If they're like, Joe, we need you to figure out who would be the best commencement speaker, the one that gets the most attention, that would be the most impactful. Who would you get?
There's a name that comes to mind.
Oh, no.
I did not know this question.
No,
before.
I didn't tell you
did
this,
not
yeah.
spring these on. But me personally,
Right.
who would be great
Yeah, it's
to listen to?
A little scared to ask
Yeah, a little scared to ask this thing, but they've had some.
Oh, big names. I know our buddy Rhett McGibbon, I think he said the year he graduated, Chuck
Probably
Norris was his
Really?
commencement speaker. Yeah.
I love Chuck Norris
Yeah.
jokes. Chuck Norris jokes are so
Yeah.
funny. I would say if it was me and I had my choice, I would love to have Will Ferrell be our commencement.
Will Ferrell?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we had Vince Vaughn here that
Vince
one
Vaughn
year.
was
I mean,
here
it
that
wasn't the
one year.
commencement speaker, but he
Yeah.
was here as part of commencement and spoke a little
How
bit.
great would
Will
Will
Ferrell would be.
He would do an unbelievable
That
job.
would be good. That would be good.
All right, give me yours.
I mean, I hadn't even thought about that much. Like, obviously, you go one of two ways. You go like the serious, who's gonna really like get you fired up.
Yeah.
And so I would probably, Sylvester Stallone, right? Stick with the Rocky theme.
You're a
Like,
big
yeah,
Rocky
right.
guy.
Get out there and give you the like. It's not how hard you get hit, but how many whatever get up and keep moving forward,
He really
or
talked punch drunk in
Right,
that movie.
right. I mean, you need the subtitles maybe, but he would be great. Gosh, who would be? I don't know.
If you're going for funny, who would you go for? Somebody funny.
Yeah, I mean, Will Ferrell certainly up there.
He's gonna be on the list. I wish he was still around with us, but how great would Chris Farley be?
Chris Farley would be fantastic. May he rest in peace. Yeah, Chris Farley
one of
was
the
one of
all-time
the all-time greats. That would be a good one as well.
Another great one for me growing
Yeah.
up with it, and rest in peace also, is John Candy.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
how great
We're
would
just,
he be?
we're just going down the list of
I
folks
mean,
that we're taking too soon.
Oh, I
yeah.
know. Those guys are legends of the game.
Yeah, that would be good as well. Yeah.
Did you see Will Ferrell at the hockey game last night?
No.
Yeah, he's at the hockey game. The LA
Yeah,
Kings are
yeah.
playing the Oilers, right? He's at the hockey game. He's like on the glass. He's like just with the crowd.
Yeah.
Right? But he's right in there on the glass, and he's got full face paint on. He's got like the mask over, and he's got the full face.
He's been
paint
doing
on.
these kind of things
Yeah.
at games where he just randomly shows
Yeah,
up
it's
and
great.
yeah.
It was
Okay.
great.
Well, we'll see what we can do
Get
maybe for
Will
next
Ferrell.
year.
Somebody please
We'll see
get
what
Will
we can do. If we can get Billy Graham, certainly we can get,
We get Billy
Will
Graham.
Ferrell.
We can
right?
easily
Yeah.
get Will Ferrell.
Yeah, I like our chances.
That's easy.
Yeah. All right, Joe. Appreciate it. Great job as always. That's it for this week. Next week, Emily Austin should be back.
Will she be back?
I imagine she'll have like a
Keiko's
2-hour
returns.
slideshow that we'll have to
Oh.
watch as she like goes through the, and then on the second day, we, whatever. Oh, look at that.
You're swimming with the
meal we
dolphins.
had, and
Yeah.
whatever. So we have that to look forward to.
Or she might be in Keiko's and Turks at that.
She may never come in.
You don't know.
We may have to adjust on the fly. But hey, appreciate you listening. Once again, the Flame Central podcast, powered by Alcova Mortgage.
Bam.
See you next week.